Cool. So we'll get it going then. Again, thank you everyone for being here. My name is Abe Osiak. I am the Assistant Director of Athletics at Keene State College, and I will be running most of this presentation tonight, along with Deb Wood, our head athletic trainer, and Phil Rassicott, the Director of Athletics, who is going to start us off just by kind of welcoming everybody and talking about some of the things we've going on campus or away from campus.
Thanks, Abe. It's obviously a pleasure. I welcome everyone. Obviously, I understand this has been a really challenging, difficult several months for everybody, and in particular, our college freshmen who are entering this year. Obviously, what we've experienced in the spring, we certainly recognize that this wasn't an easy time, but we are so excited that you have made the decision to come to Keene State. And we definitely are looking forward to the day that we welcome you back to campus. So I'll just talk briefly about, in general, what it means in my eyes to be a Keene State owl. And then I also will address some of the overall general questions about what the response has been on campus to COVID and what our plans are moving forward. So. And then I will stick around if there are some additional questions as well. So, again, this is a real honor. I mean, being a college athlete, to play a sport in college at the NCAA level in divisions 1, 2, and 3 is a tremendous accomplishment. It's less than 5% of high school athletics athletes around the country have the opportunity to move on and to compete at this level. So the way I always approach this is it's a privilege to be a student athlete at Keene State and in the NCAA, but it's also it's an honor to have you, and it's a privilege for us to be around you and serve you. So owls are dedicated, determined, and disciplined. I just finished up a number of conversations in the last few weeks with a group of our senior student athletes who really spoke about how their experience as a student athlete has helped to shape them for the future in their job search, in their career, in life overall. And it was just such a tremendous experience. Now, we did those conversations, unfortunately, just as we are doing this right now over the web. I much prefer to do those in person, and we certainly, I look forward to having these conversations with all of our incoming student athletes as well. So our student athletes, my expectations are that they are connected. They're connected to the campus, and they're connected to the community. Our vision with student athletes is that we have a campus without walls. We are a part of everything that goes on throughout campus, and a big part of what happens in Keene and the community as well. So we are committed to growth. That growth is academically. That growth is absolutely performance related, athletically. We want to compete at the very highest level. And personal, we certainly our goal is to create an environment and an atmosphere and a culture where your personal growth is fostered to the point where you feel ultimately prepared to step out into the world after a college experience. So we are definitely committed to service, community service, and also to leadership and leadership development. And also our student athletes, it's really critical that we know and communicate our priorities. And obviously the main priority is to succeed academically and to be able to balance the demands of being a student and being an athlete. In many ways, it's 2 full-time jobs. So we have a pretty strong support network to help you along the way. But it's really important that our student athletes feel knowledgeable and comfortable to communicate all of their priorities and their concerns with us every step of the way. Ultimately, our thing is we want to make it great, right? We want to have fun. I say this, and the staff that's here with us tonight will attest to this. It appears on every staff meeting agenda that we have. I mean, our goals are to recruit the very best possible student athletes that we can to campus. Our goals are to make sure that we retain those students the entire time that they're here. our goal is to graduate those students, and our goal is to win. Obviously, when we achieve our goals in athletics at the highest level, there's a great residual benefit to both campus and the community, and that's really kind of what we're aiming for. And one thing I always remind our student athletes is that owls are everywhere. So everywhere you go on campus, I mean, it's true. We are definitely held to a higher standard, and that's a good thing. And then the network that you build while you're here on campus really goes out into the future, and then you're part of something that will just carry on for a very long time. So I think what Abe and Debbie and I and some other members of our staff have been doing a tremendous amount of work on is certainly there's a lot of unanswered questions, about what returning to campus and for us specifically, what returning to athletics looks like at this point. And we are first and foremost committed to the safety of all of our students, and in this case, our student athletes. So everything that we do and say from this point forward is really keeping at the forefront the safety aspect, given all the circumstances surrounding the COVID impact in Keene on campus and obviously around the country. So one of the things in New Hampshire, in the state system, there is a task force that is actually about returning to campus. And that task force, one of the primary leaders in that effort is our president, Dr. Melinda Treadwell. So we have a tremendous resource right on our campus as she is helping to lead that effort on the state level. We also have a campus-wide task force, which has been working for well over a month, maybe more now, 6 weeks, on planning return to campus. And within our department, we also have an athletics department task force, again, working on all those details about making sure that we're ready to go in the fall and that we're meeting all the state and national guidelines to make this the best possible, most safe experience that we can. As of last Friday, all the presidents in the Little East Conference, which is a conference that we compete in, have all committed to a fall athletic experience, as every institution is looking forward to welcoming students back on campus, and in this case, welcoming new students to campus. We are fully committed to that effort, and all the schools within the conference are also committed to making this happen. So as the athletic director, we actually meet with all the other ADs every week, and we have been for, again, about the last 6 weeks, at least, we meet this week and every week until we actually start. So going over all the possible details that we will have to have in place to make this a safe experience for everybody. So, this is, the NCAA terms this the re-socialization of sport. And we're starting to see it already. At the Division I level colleges, athletes are starting to return to campus. A big part of this is certainly in the return to, for general students, is about making sure that we have all the proper protocols for testing, all the proper protocols that will happen in the event that there is positive test. And we will certainly, again, we can't run from these things. This is a fact of our life right now, and we will deal with it in the very best way that we can. And if anyone does have questions about these specifics, so we actually have a draft of an athletic plan that we're working on right now and are submitting it to campus for approval in the next couple weeks. So there'll be a lot of details to follow in the next month with regard to exactly what the campus plan is as far as athletics goes. And again, this is really from this point forward, we will have to start to really have that dialogue and communication so that everyone's aware. And most importantly, athletics is just it's a really important part of campus, but it's really another aspect of campus. So the plan that we're laying forward or putting forth is really just really an extension of the campus plan as well. So Hopefully, if we'll keep it for questions, and really looking forward to seeing you soon.
All right, thanks, Phil. So we're going to get into the meat of our presentation here. And like I said, if anyone has any questions, just put them right into the chat, in the group chat for the Zoom meeting, and Deborah, I will answer your questions. So I'm going to share my screen with everyone. So this is our summer orientation presentation, the top 10 questions that we think parents and incoming student athletes all need to ask. So we're just going to, Deb, Phil, I actually think you are the first one. What does the athletic director expect from the student athletes at Keene State College?
Well, I think we actually just went over all of those things.
All right, then we can move right on. Deb, starting with you then, a lot of stuff about sports medicine. What happens if my son or daughter has an injury or illness?
So all injuries need to be reported to the athletic training staff. An evaluation will be performed by one of the athletic trainers, and if needed, you'll be referred off to our team physician or other specialty if that applies. Once you've been evaluated, we will create a plan of care that encompasses whether you need rehabilitation or maintenance, strengthening, or whatever to get you back onto the field or court. Your coach will be informed only if there's limitations that impact your ability to participate fully. So if it's just something that you're able to play through and it's just kind of more of a preventative injury that we're taking care of, then we may not need to interact much with the coach. But if it is going to limit your playing time, practice time, then definitely your coach will be informed. Rehabilitation of most of the athletic injuries can be performed with the athletic training staff. If not, we assist with the referrals to physical therapy or other specialty needs. And then return to full participation will be determined finally by the athletic training staff under the guidance of any doctors or physicians or specialty care that has also been involved, but the final return to participation comes from us.
All right, more on the athletic training room.
So we are open by appointment only. Things are changing a little bit this year with the COVID-19. We're still trying to determine exactly what that's going to look like. Typically, prior to COVID-19, we opened at 1 p.m. in the afternoon for any rehab or strengthening or anything that you needed to do. And so what we're doing right now is that we're going to probably be adjusting those hours to be able to meet the needs better of the athletes. So you sign up for an appointment using Setmore. There's a link on the athletics page under athletic training. And then if you have any issues where you're looking to get an appointment, but the appointment slots that are available with your athletic trainer don't line up with your class schedule, all you need to do is reach out to us and we'll work together with you to create a schedule that will meet your needs. The athletic training staff consists of myself, Jen Hammett, who is also our athletics healthcare administrator and our Title IX liaison. Nikki Ebbinghausen is our athletic trainer, and Jake Stern is an athletic trainer. I cover field hockey and baseball and swimming and diving. Jen covers, I cover volleyball, baseball, and swimming and diving. Jen covers field hockey, track and field, cross country, as well as men's lacrosse. Nikki works with men's soccer, women's basketball, and women's lacrosse. And Jake works with the women's soccer team, the men's basketball team, and the softball teams. And if you're a cheerleader, you can go to see any of us. It doesn't matter which one you're seeing.
What if we have medical bills as a result of an athletic-related injury?
So any medical bills related to an athletic injury will be applied to your primary insurance first, and then any excess bills beyond that can be possibly covered through our excess insurance policy plan or potentially an NCAA catastrophic insurance plan. The most important thing is that you need to make sure that you keep us in the communication that you were injured, as well as if and when you went to see a doctor, things like that. If we're not aware that you had an injury or that you saw a doctor, it does get a little bit difficult to file all the paperwork and the claims if we weren't aware of it, because we have a time frame we have to submit all that paperwork in. So the injury, to be covered by our insurance, it has to be a direct result of participation in intercollegiate athletics. So things that are not covered are things happening outside of your mandated activities. So intramural sports, open gyms, captains practices. If it's an official practice, game, or competition, and you get injured during that, it is covered. And again, like I said, it has to be reported to the athletic training staff for documentation. If we don't know it occurred, it's very hard to help cover the bills. So every year our policy is reviewed. It is reviewed during the summer months. I can tell you what it has been for the past 2 years. We've used a company called AG Administrator Sports Insurance Specialist. It is a zero deductible, meaning anything that your insurance company does not cover, including just copay. So if you have a $20 copay, we cover that. But it's a zero deductible, meaning everything's covered. And the biggest thing to understand is that you are financially responsible for all of your bills until that your claim has been officially approved and accepted by AG administrators. And that's that process of the paperwork that we're talking about. So a lot of people get frustrated thinking that we will just pay the bills the minute that it shows up, but it's an insurance company and they have to process the claim and accept it.
What does my son or daughter need to do before coming to campus to be cleared to participate?
So all of you should have already started to receive some information from me. So first of all, for just general admission to the campus, you have to have your final high school transcript, your complete financial aid paperwork, as well as your housing paperwork. And then there's requirements for the Center of Health and Wellness for immunizations, physical, sickle cell status, tuberculosis screening. You have to do some online classes for alcohol-wise and consent and respect. In addition to that, for athletics, there's a separate list of requirements that you should have already received instructions from. So there's 2 different sections. One is front rush. Those instructions won't be going out until later in the month of June, and Abe can speak more to that. Otherwise, the information regarding sportswear has already been sent out. If you have not received it, please feel free to contact me. In sportswear, you'll have to complete the demographic information, a medical history questionnaire. You have to submit a physical within the past 6 months prior to your first date of sports participation. And that's all explained in thorough detail on the physical forms. You have to upload your current immunizations. Most important one we're looking for is to make sure your tetanus is, but we're looking at all of them. Additionally, you have to submit a copy of your current insurance for medical insurance, both front and back, a photocopy of those cards. And then you need to do electronic signing of some waivers and releases for authorization to treat and refer, as well as a release of information. In freshmen, we also have you sign as a form through the Center of Health and Wellness that we upload into our information, but we send to them. And it's a release for information for the athletic training staff and the Center of Health and Wellness to talk to each other. The big important thing is here, we're 2 separate entities on campus and we can't communicate with each other without proper releases. So you do have to submit physicals to them as well as to us, but to allow us to be able to talk to each other, we have the release that you can sign. So sickle cell trait is an NCAA requirement. So you must either submit your sickle cell trait status or you must complete a waiver. You can submit the status to the athletic training, or otherwise the waiver is done through Front Rush. Typically, if you were born in the United States, you were tested soon after birth, and the results just become part of your medical record system. So most of the time, you just need to call your doctor's office and ask what your sickle cell trait status is, and they can look that up. If they don't have it on file, you can request for a test to be performed. Typically, it's fairly cheap, $20 to $30. And your other option is you can also choose to waive your right to take the test. And then additionally, in sportswear, you will be directed to some required education regarding sickle cell trait, and that is from the NCAA. But it's very important to understand what sickle cell trait is and to make sure you understand the importance of knowing whether or not you carry the sickle cell trait. If you do carry sickle cell trait, it's very important to know that it's nothing that disqualifies you from participation. It's more that it alerts us to a possible medical situation that could arise. And us knowing you have that diagnosis changes how we intervene and can really literally be the difference between life and death if we know that you have it. Once you are getting closer to coming to campus, in August, we will be reaching out to specifically the fall sports first, and then we'll go through winter and spring sports. We're going to be conducting a telehealth appointment prior to your arrival to review your sportswear account, go through your demographics, your health history questionnaires, review your physical, your immunizations, things like that. If you're missing anything at that time, we're going to make sure that we notify you. And if we have any further questions, we'll also let you know at that point. When you do come on campus, there will be a more abbreviated version of our preseason screenings, which is going to be just getting your vitals and your balance testing. The rest of the normal review that we do is what we are going to be doing during the telehealth. Additionally, we will be administering concussion baseline testing remotely via a system called impact testing. Again, that's a change for us this year because we normally do it on campus in person in large rooms, but this year we're going to start sending that information out prior to your arrival to campus. All of these components that I've discussed are required to be completed prior to your first day of participation. So if you're a fall athlete and you're expected to come here on August 18th, 19th, 21st, whatever the dates, and this information is not complete on those dates, nor can it be completed that date because you're still missing stuff, you will not be allowed to participate until we have all of this information.
All right, so I think I get to take over here. So other than the coaches of my son or daughter's specific sport, who will they get to interact with as an athlete at Keene State College? And what you see on the screen is just our kind of basic staff directory of administrative staff. You've met Phil, you've met me, you've met Deb. We also have Karen Whittemore, who tells us when we can and can't spend the money in the department. Denise Lyons is our women's soccer coach and senior woman administrator. Diane Arsenal is the administrative assistant for the department. Dr. Jeff Timmer in the exercise science and human performance department is also our faculty athletic rep. The college is in the process of hiring a Title IX coordinator, and that should be announced within the next couple of weeks or so. Sarah Testo is our strength and conditioning coach, and when you're not in season, you may be working with her and her staff to get stronger and fitter for future seasons. And then our athletic training staff that Deb introduced earlier in the evening. Number 6, what are the differences between being a high school athlete and a college athlete? It's moving to adulthood. It's learning to be accountable. Your time is your own for likely the first time in your life. You're away from home, likely for the first time in your life, and that can be a big adjustment for people. Athletes that you compete with in practice and in games are likely bigger, faster, and stronger than anything you probably experienced in high school, and that's an adjustment as well. That being said, this is Division III athletics. It's not our life's work. It is supposed to be a holistic blend of the complete student experience at Keene State College that drills deeply into the philosophy of all Division III athletics. And athletics is a privilege. It's not a right. As Phil mentioned, athletes are held to a higher standard than the general student body at Keene State, and you're in the spotlight a little bit more. It's okay if your priorities change. College athletics is not for everyone, and while we would deeply love to keep you as a student athlete, we care mostly more about your development as a person, making it through the academic program that you've chosen here. Number 7, what are the academic requirements that my son or daughter will need to maintain to stay eligible? So the good news for everybody in the room is that when you come in the fall, you'll be eligible. There's nothing you're going to need to do right away other than maintain a full-time course load, which you will have already done by registering for classes. But as each semester comes and goes, there are things you're going to need to do to maintain your eligibility. So first, you always need to keep a GPA of at least 2.0 cumulative. If your GPA is below a 2 but above a 1, we do let you practice, but you cannot take part in any games. Every year, you also need to pass at least 24 credits or have an average of 12 credits passed per full-time term. So what I mean by that is in the first semester, you might pass 16, but the second semester, you would only pass 8. We would still consider that 24 credits or an average of 12 to be able to participate. And then, as I said, you also need to be enrolled as full-time students to compete, and at Keene State, that's at least 12 credits. Number 8, what might my son or daughter need for practice? Daily athletic game laundry, uniforms. We do all the laundry for any college issued materials, so that's all game uniforms and any Keene State issued practice gear. We do not do personal laundry, so socks, running shirts, shorts that aren't part of the practice uniforms. Student athletes are responsible for those on their own. Shoe or cleat questions, you really need to direct those to the head coach of your particular sport. People may know that we use a turf field for field hockey and lacrosse, but there are occasional sports where we go to a grass field on the road, so you may need a pair of cleats as opposed to a pair of turf shoes for those. We have both for our fall sports and our spring sports, we have a traditional and non-traditional season where we still provide all the uniforms and practice gear to be washed, as well as the needs for different shoes. And then it's important that every athlete, especially in the time of COVID-19, brings their own water bottle that eliminates a lot in the way of germ sharing. Number 9, what is the policy for parent admissions to games and contests? So at this time, we only charge admission to men's and women's soccer and men's and women's basketball. All other sports are free of charge, with the exception of any NCAA games, any postseason games we might host in that sport. NCAA policy says that any student athlete in a ticketed sport gets 4 complimentary tickets per contest, and they can give those to whomever they like for any different game. If you want your parents to always have a ticket for every single game, we can do that. If you want to change who your tickets go to for one game to the next, we can also do that too. Anyone above 4, your 4 complimentary tickets does have to pay. It's $5 for adults, $3 for high school students, $2 for senior citizens. Children 12 and under are free. And of course, Keene State students, faculty, and staff are always free. And finally, number 10, when do we report to campus? So for fall sports, if you're coming for men's soccer or field hockey, you'll come on August 18th, and your first practice will be the next day. Women's soccer will come the next day, August 19th. Volleyball will come on August 21st, and cross country will come on August 23rd. All those reporting dates are based on your first scheduled date of competition. That's why it's not uniform for everyone. If you're coming here for a winter or a spring sport, please plan on reporting for Welcome Week in August. Meet with your coach, and we will make arrangements to get you started with either your traditional season for the winter or the non-traditional season for the spring sports, which will begin in early September. You can always follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Keene State Owls, as well as keeneowls.com, our official website. I'm going to stop the presentation at this point. It doesn't look like we have any questions, but we can hang out for just a few minutes if anyone does have any. If not, then I think we can call this this evening done. Again, we will be recording this and putting it on our YouTube channel for anyone to watch, pass along to your parents if they weren't able to make it, that type of thing. So thank you again for coming. Have a great night. We look forward to seeing you in August.